show, another special edition. My goodness, I got to give credit to my buddy Steve here, my Steve the Eating Machine, my
Hey,
co-host.
hey.
He unearthed Haji Mike, and we reached out, and he's joining us. So,
Thank
Haji
you.
Mike, thank you very much for
Thank you for
joining us.
joining us. It's an honor, man.
Thank you. It's great being on your podcast.
We feel that this is going to be a special show because of where I grew up. Like, I know you were living in Cyprus at the time, Steve, but even here within the Cypriot community, where we first, were in touch with you, where we were connected to you was that song back in the 1994,
Yes,
known as
92.
Vragaman.
Oh Vragaman is Haji Mike, the Vragaman in Cyprus and in London. Me reached the number one.
Vragaman.
Yeah.
And it carried a lot of heat here. And I think it did because we live in such a, multicultural society where a lot of us were into reggae music here, right? Like one of my best friends, Dino, like riding in the car with him, it's just reggae music I would listen to. So when this happened, the song comes out, it became like a phenomenon within the Cypriot community here. So I just wanted to put that out. I know that you've since done a lot more work, and we'll get to that. But thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. It's great that you put it in that context because that's exactly what it was. I grew up listening to like Greek and Cypriot music, mainly on vinyl, but also grew up listening to reggae in London, and it's one of my favorite musics, and it's what I play on radio, which I've been doing for about 40 odd years. I just thought, why not? At the time, there was a lot of people doing reggae, and I was also a music journalist at that time in London. So I interviewed people like, I interviewed Snow. I remember he's
That's what I was
Canadian.
gonna say. Yeah.
And that totally shocked me because he was white, and I didn't know he was white.
She took all in a hurry. If I wear me come in a fire at all. You said that me stole me at the Ram Dance Man.
I don't want to be the one who say I'm gonna kill them, but I will. Yes, I will.
Yeah.
So when I did the interview, I was going towards the black guy in the corner, and then he said, "No, that's Snow over there." So, and you had Apache Indian, and you had things like Samba Muffin. There was people in Brazil mixing up ragamuffin with. It was a great sound. And so I met Apache Indian as well shortly after I started making music. And I really liked what he did. I still like what he does. He's a great artist.
In the end, me I tear them apart. And when me come, me bring a new style. So listen, crowd of people know you have to follow me. Them a ball when they say they in there. Ragamuffin on a style and fashion. And when me come out, that's a different fashion. First tune I say me do one, now we reach number one. In the reggae charts, man, and they in there. See me face up on the television.
So at the time, it was just a question of, it's that hip hop saying, where it's a combination of where you're from with where it's at. And where it was at for me was dancehall. So I just mix up the roots, where I came from with the roots, where I'm heading,
Exactly.
So it was quite a nice, and this is an academic theory as well, because I'm also became a professor, and there is a famous scholar from the Caribbean and Britain called Stuart Hall, who's got a whole theory about this roots and migration and culture. So I kind of lived it in both ways as an academic and as a musician.
Now, I read another quote from you where the best years of your life was being on top of a record store in Green Lanes.
Yeah, Trehandiri, the most amazing.
What did that do
store,
for you? What did that do
I
for you?
I was only there for about the best part of 3 years, in Green Lanes, Haringey, which we used to call in the 70s. We used to call it Cyprus City, because there were so many Cypriots. So by the time I lived there was still quite a few, people, Cypriot community people that had been there for 40, 50 years. But living above Trehandiri was like the center of the earth. It was like the place where you could walk in and the brothers there, like one of whom sadly passed away, my dear friend Agis Batalis, who we used to call him the good Greek guru because he knew everything about Greek music. People used to come in there and hum a tune and he wouldn't know what it was. And they're always out of tune as well. So it was quite painful.
Is that
But,
where you like merged the two together?
yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah.
that
And
where you started?
living there and you know, I was writing about Greek music in a local newspaper called the Reggae and they used to give me I used to blag a couple of LPs a week, you know. They would sort of give them to me and I would review them. And I think a lot of the people from Greece sort of thought, who is this guy, you know? What's he writing about?
Yeah. So how did
Because I was writing from a different perspective. I was used to writing as a sort of like freelance music journalist in London, you know. So I had absolutely nothing to do with the Greek music industry. And usually people who were writing about Greek music were all tied in, you know, and I was doing it from a different point of view. So it was great, you know, it was a fantastic time. And that's when I started working with my dear friend Zacharias Sugar Haji Shagadli. And that's when we made those crazy tunes, you know, and it all took off from there. You know, I'm very fortunate in a way that I wouldn't say I started off with them because I was making tunes even from before, even like 1980, 1988 was probably the first year I ever recorded.
So where did you record
But
those? In Cyprus or in
no, in London,
in
Sugar
London?
Studio
Really?
in Edmonton. We
Okay.
did the pre-production in his studio, and then I had a publishing deal with a company at the time, and we went to a big studio called Swanyard, and we recorded Vragaman and Stavroulla and Chakaramak through that deal, you know.
Yeah. And when you
And
released it, you first released it in England or
in the community, I
in the
made them.
community?
I made 12-inch vinyl singles. I made about five 12-inch singles from 1990. The first one that sort of took off was a tune called Musigi, which was produced by a dear friend called Simon Booth, who went on to establish the very well-known Afro-Celt sound system, who ended up being massive in different parts of the world, including North America. They were signed to Real World, you know, Peter Gabriel's label. He was a very dear friend. He sadly passed away a few years ago. Simon taught me a lot about the industry. And then I just started doing things from there. I did Stavroulla and I did Vragaman and I did Chakaramak. And then I came to Cyprus and it all took off there. You know, it was like there was nothing really.
Did you bring? So how did it make its way? So you actually brought the singles to.
I came to Cyprus one summer, and like a lot of things in the music business, people promise you the earth and it goes disastrously wrong. So there was someone who sort of conned me at the time, and I just decided, you know what, the best way to do it is do it yourself. So I went to my mate's taverna in Bafos, and it all started from there. I was singing. I was just singing as a little warm up, you know, before the traditional Greek band would play. I was just I put my DAT machine on and just started singing, and then after about 3 nights, people from clubs started saying, "What's going on at Mandra Taverna? You know, who's this crazy British Cypriot?" And within about 3 weeks, I became a Bafos sort of phenomenon. You know, I played more or less all the clubs.
I'm trying to remember where I heard you first.
It wasn't called Bar Street back then. It was just a strip. You know,
but I know the strip. Yeah, I love that strip.
Yeah, it was about six or seven discos.
Yeah. Because I
And
think
a
I
lot of
heard
bars.
you in
And I
Limassol.
played in most of them.
I think I heard
and
you
I
in
went to
Limassol.
and then I went to Nicosia, and I went to Pixascala and Paralimni. And then I came back the winter time. I played in a club in Nicosia called Anonymous and got on TV, and the rest is history, really.
We saw because I saw the music video. So the music video.
Yeah, that was made by the CYBC. You know, it's strange, really, because I think that clip was only probably played 3 times. But Berlin on the Cosmos, you know, it
was
just
crazy.
berserk. Yeah. And it was one of the first clips that was different. People didn't make music clips like that.
No,
you know,
it was
all the
only
music clips was some guy with a guitar sitting by the beach, and and there's the sunset in the background, and that was it. So I just had they didn't know what they were doing, the crew. I just sort of said, why don't we go to a Mandra and I talk to some goats, you know? And it's sort of like,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna wear Vraga.
Yeah,
And,
exactly. Hey, it was
and
huge.
we filmed in a club, and
Yeah.
it was just a bit different, you know. It was a bit, you know, it was a very busy time. It was just, and then I decided to come back. I came back. I got engaged, got married to my wife Marina.
There we go. 'Cause I was going to say there's a real reason why.
There's
you
a
did
real
come
reason
back.
why I came back.
Okay.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Marina came back before me, and initially we went back to London, and then I got offered a job on radio and TV, on Radio Prodon and the newly opened TV channel Sigma, and I was doing that for a few years. I stayed on radio for a while, and then in around about 2000 or so, I started getting into. I wanted to get out of like the mainstream, and I was doing.
Radio,
I was actually on Radio Napa for a few years when the whole garage thing took off. That was a really interesting time as well. I did that for about 3 summers, and then after that, I started getting into internet radio. And I played on an American station called Big Up Radio, which was one of the first US stations to play only reggae. It had five streams, different kinds of reggae. And from there, I got more into podcasting as well.
Yeah.
I was actually the first person in Cyprus podcasting. And podcasting mean not like what we're doing now.
Yeah, different. Yeah.
I was
just audio, you know.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
so you could probably find a lot of my shows from about 2006 or something on a thing like Podomatic or something like that. And I was teaching as well. Don't forget, I started teaching from about 98 at the what was then Inter College,
Yeah.
and became the University of Nicosia. And then after that, I started, you know, teaching a lot of these things like podcasting in my courses, which no one else was doing, and internet radio.
Yeah.
And I got more involved with internet radio. So that's what I've been on since about 2006.
So you had this thing figured out before it became a thing.
Yeah.
By the sounds of it, and
Yeah, but it wasn't the same as it is now, you know. And you didn't have all the social media that you have now.
No, for sure. And everybody's got
And parallel to, you know, an academic career, I kept on making CDs, collaborations, did a lot of online virtual productions. You know, I was the first person in Cyprus to make an LP with someone online. That was with Doug Caravan about 2008. That was a whole LP, and we did a tour here and in England. And I did a lot of collaborations with a very dear friend of mine in San Francisco called Stefan France, who had a label and then became a distribution company. And now he does a lot of larger scale and community-based promotions.
Did you promote any? Concept. Did you bring any like reggae stars from like to Cyprus? It was hard,
not
right?
Really,
difficult.
Not really. It's just I'm not. I had a lot of. I dabbled in things like that, but. I don't know, man. It's not really what I want to be. No, so I just carried on doing my thing, you know, like releasing albums, doing gigs, most of the time doing it all myself, and working with different producers in different countries. My friend Stefan in the USA, Tony Matthew in the UK. I work with people in Greece. I work with Imis Cumbria.
Yeah,
I did a couple of tracks with them. That was a great experience. They were totally mad, totally like they're like the Beastie Boys of Greece, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
So like, and they're having a reunion this summer as well,
really?
I think. So it's been quite a ride, you know, and
wow.
And I've done a lot of stuff in Jamaica too. I wrote a book on Bob Marley in media. It's the first academic book on Bob Marley and the subject of media.
Yeah.
And I got invited to speak at the annual Bob Marley lecture, which was a very big deal for me.
Very rare for non-Caribbean people to get that kind of distinction.
Yeah,
you're taking all my questions away here.
We'll get to it. I know
you're killing my interview.
I know.
You can tell I've been doing this for a long time.
We'll ask the questions.
Actually, there's one interesting quote I think it's yours. I hope it's yours because it was talking about like how musicians need to operate as both cultural producers and social commentators, which is funny. And was that you? I just did I get that right or?
I know I might have said that at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I've done. I can't. Yeah, I probably did say.
I was
I
just
think it's true. It's true.
I was curious
'Cause
about like expansion on that a little bit because today's day and age, it almost feels like they've gone completely out of control with them lecturing everyday people to the point where it's just, we want you to be singers. I think it's different from what Bob Marley or Muhammad Ali used to
yeah.
used to say. Whereas today,
Well, we you know, we got to understand we're from a different generation. You know.
Yeah.
right.
I mean, I was doing a gig a couple of years ago in San Francisco at the Golden Gate Park. My friend Stefan, I got invited to play there. It was an amazing experience, and it was a big. It's not about you're going there and there's thousands of people because really, I'm quite unknown. You know, really, I'm not Justin Bieber. I'm in no way am I a
But
pop
to
star.
us,
I'm
you're
just
known.
known by yeah, but I'm known by certain people. You know, and I can go somewhere and there'll be 300 people there or something. So it was a nice experience, but there was an elderly lady there who's probably in her 80s. I can't recall her name. And it was in the Golden Gate Park. And she said to him, it's really good what he's doing about my work. Because I did a combination of an acoustic set and, you know, some of my old tunes and some improvisation on the mic. And she said to Stefan, it's really good, but he's from another
Generation.
another era.
Yeah.
Is when people were talking sense. It was like, and it made sense to me what she was saying, because we grew up on a different kind of. We did grow up with Muhammad Ali's poetry and with Bob Marley's music and things like, you know. And I saw a lot of this stuff live. You know, I saw Prince, I saw Luther Vandross, you know, and did a lot of interviews with various reggae artists, and you understand, you know, culture in a different way in that. And I don't know, I think there's still people of, you know, different generations. I know a lot of my students are like that, you know. I'm sitting here with one of my students now, you know.
Oh yeah.
One of the reasons why I came to Living Soul was to do an interview with him about my new album for he does a hip hop podcast. And you know, I don't think we should there's always been people being outspoken. There's always been people who wanna say something more than the most ephemeral thing in a song.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I started making music, because back in the community at the time, you know, it was o con dos me gravaban, to enviarlos or papagalos or something. They were stupid songs, really. I know I can understand why people like them, but it's a bit like we grew up on Maria Metakitrina, really, you know. And I know it's part of our tradition, but how many times have I danced around in a circle at a wedding and do the Galamas Canon, you know? And I used to do all that, you know, when I was a teenager. I used to dance. But one day I just decided, you know what, I don't want to dance anymore. Because it became one big gogoromachia. You know, it was like you're only doing it for a show, you know, and especially when you're doing the Zembeki one. So not that I don't dance anymore, but I don't know. I just found that there was something else pulling me. Music was pulling me, and spoken word. And you know,
it's okay. I mean, it's something you love, but it doesn't mean you reject our culture and what it's like.
No, it's not about.
Like this is what this podcast is, to reach the Cypriot community worldwide, right?
I like the fact that
like that's why we're going back to the times when it was Vragaman and Stavroulla, because that hit, because us, like me growing from Canada, growing up in Cyprus, and you coming out with that music, we relate.
You could connect with it. I understand.
Yeah, I connect, and like you said, when I first went to Cyprus, and you hear the typical.
Yeah, and we actually brought a lot of that to Cyprus. We changed the clubbing. you know, our generation
Well, we
changed the
brought.
club
I remember
clubbing
bringing
scene of
freestyle
Cyprus.
albums. We brought
Yeah,
freestyle
you see
albums
what I
to
mean?
to the
Yeah.
clubs, right? And then going to Basement or
Yeah, and
Whispers.
it's not just me. You know, there was
Yeah.
loads of people doing it. There's a guy I know from England. He used to have a record shop in Haringey called Music Power.
Mhm.
Nick Power. He's like the godfather of Napa. You know, he started the whole scene in Napa.
Mhm.
Because what Nick Power did, he's the first guy that brought English DJs to Ayanama, to
Yeah, that's
Cyprus.
correct. Yeah.
So he was doing that on the East Coast, and I was doing my thing on the West Coast, in Buffos, you know. So you know, roughly the same time. But we didn't actually. I didn't know he was there, and he didn't know I was there. We knew each other from back in Haringey days, you know. So I think that generation of people, the Ebana Padrizomeni,
Yeah.
they changed things in Cyprus.
Yeah, we did.
I'm
It
just a
was
small,
huge. Yeah.
I'm just a small part of it, but there could have been, I don't know, 50, 80,000 people came back.
Even
And
though
there
the
was a lot of
Gipre, the locals were like, didn't like
yeah,
it.
yeah.
They didn't like it at
There was
times.
a lot of
'Cause I
discrimination. as
remember
well.
Basement. I don't know if you ever remember Basement, the
Yeah, I
club.
know, but I remember
So it was
basically,
only
yeah,
Ingleso
so-
Gipre were there, right? All the foreigners. Because they wouldn't let
Yeah.
us in Whispers. They gave us the cut eye, get into fights all the
Yeah.
time. But Basement, we felt like home, right? Basement was the
Yeah,
place to
yeah,
be. That's
yeah.
where your music was playing. So
Yeah. I played basement. I remember I
yeah,
did a gig there.
yeah. I think I
and
was.
it
I think I was there too.
and that was the time when they were calling us Charlies as well.
Yeah, Charlie's Bilias. Yeah.
Yeah. And
No,
we
it
used
was
to call him Jim. We used to buy back with Jimmy's because then Jimmy's many, you know.
and Jimmy's.
And it was, and it was, and that it's like I say to people, you know, even today, you know, some people say, "I go off a cake you
Yeah,
know,
I go my fuck.
and I say, "Oi, facaunusso," because
Bravo.
at the end
Yeah.
at the end of the day, really, you look at it, and you know, I grew up in a very diverse place, right?
Yeah.
And I had loads of, you know, loads of radio DJs, you know, the first person to play me in Cyprus was a guy called Andy Kershaw, who sadly died last week. He played a really big part in my early development.
Yeah.
Now, Andy Kershaw's a Mancunian, right?
Yeah.
And he talks with a northern accent.
That means he's
But
from
it-
Manchester, Steve.
Yeah. So I think
United
it's
or
Manchester.
City?
It was somewhere up north anyway. I
Arsenal.
might be wrong here, but I think it was Leeds or something. But anyway, Andy was a great guy.
Close enough.
And when I first met him, I could barely understand him. Oh, wow, Andy Kershaw, you know. Now, if I sort of sat around and said, and I don't want to talk to you,
Yeah.
I would have got nowhere in England.
That's
Because
true.
the people in England don't think like that. You
No.
got Scottish people, you got
Yeah,
Welsh
mix.
people, you got all kind of accents, you got Caribbean, you got Indian, you got everything, and no one really. All right, there's a lot of judgment. I'm not saying England's by far it's much worse than Cyprus now. It's not exactly a tolerant place anymore. But
That's what I
I
was going
think
to ask you. How is
back in
Cyprus
those
now?
days, right? You didn't judge people, and if you did, you were small-minded.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't know. People got over it now in Cyprus. I don't think it's like that anymore.
In my opinion, and this is why it's interesting talking to you about this, is that we were past this stuff that many years ago. Right?
Yeah.
But it seems like they're pulling us back in. Fast forward to now.
Now, yeah.
The Chiofta Chronicles is out. I wanted to ask you your connection with Nigeria. It seems like your connection with Nigeria and their culture was an inspiration to this new album.
Big time.
How so? How did you get drawn into that?
Well, what happened was I wrote a book last year called The Living Chiofta, right? Which is a song. It's a book about songs. It's stories that come out of songs.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those songs are well-known songs like Vragaman and Stavroulla, Chicos. And some of them are not so well-known because they were songs that I was in the process of writing. And what I was thinking of, once I finish the book, I'm going to do another album, like my 10th album. And last summer, I was on Instagram one day, and I saw that one of my ex-students, Moses, is also known as DJ Moz, had opened a studio in Lagos called Art Audio Lab. And I checked it out, and I thought, so it's good music. So I said to him, what's the deal? You know, what are you doing? You know, and he told me, and I said to him, do you fancy doing a tune? You know, and we were, you know, he told me what he charges and stuff like this, and I thought it was very reasonable. So we did a song called Wise Men, which was the foundation of the album. And then from Wise Men, I thought, I'm going to do a whole album because I was so happy with the sound.
Yeah.
And it had this what I really like about Nigeria, I never used to like Afro beats 10 years ago. I've always been a Fela Kuti man. I grew up on a different Afro beat, you know.
Yeah.
And when I met Moses 10 years ago at the University of Nicosia, and he was talking to me about Afro beats, I was ridiculing it a little bit, you know, because I was thinking it's not real music and all this rubbish, you know. And then when he educated me about it and the polyrhythmic link of it and how it comes out of dancehall really and African music and dancehall comes out of Africa anyway. So I thought, well, all of this is one big circle, you know. So when we talked about doing an album, I wanted it to have this sort of African reggae sound, but with the influence from Cyprus too. So it's an exchange between Cyprus and Nigeria, and I really like the end result. And it was great going there, launching it, and we launched it the other night in a new division in Nicosia, which went well as well. And Nigeria was an amazing experience. It was like nothing like what I'd been told. All the stereotypes,
Yeah, exactly,
of doctors and various people because you have to get inoculated for yellow fever and all this. Men dogamis todo, men dogamis wear men binistone rondos, men wear long sleeve shirts and don't go to the open markets and all this. It's all rubbish, you know. You have the a lot of people think you're going to get scammed. That's rubbish as well. And if you've been inoculated for yellow fever, and you've taken a malaria tablet, it's very unlikely a mosquito is going to bite you, you know. Exactly. So it was all very good, you know. It was an amazing experience.
Did you meet Soulja Boy from Nigeria?
No, I didn't meet Soulja Boy.
You heard of him?
I met a legend.
Yeah.
I've heard of him, yeah, of course. I met Victor Essia. Victor Essia, and I interviewed him. He's a fantastic reggae artist. He started making music from way back in the 1980s, even long before me. And he was Nigeria's first reggae artist. So I interviewed him for my radio show. And he also came to my launch and said some very nice words. And it was great. It was great. Nice. Yeah.
And the lyrics feel like, listening to the album, it feels like it doesn't feel like a typical song. It feels like more you're just telling us a story in your words.
It is actually 10 stories. And it comes out, as I said, it's come out of the book, and the book is full of stories.
Yeah.
So the book inspired the album, and the album inspired the book in many ways, because I was going to make an album, but I wasn't very focused on it because I wanted to write the book first. And this was the sort of academic book I always wanted to write, because it's more of a creative book. And it is useful in my academic teaching to teach people how to write a good story for a podcast, which is what the book is really about. Like, how do you develop a story out of a song? Not just describing the song, but sometimes something biographical that happened to you, you know.
Well, we're glad to help push this. It's called the Chiofta Chronicles. It is out now. You can get it on Spotify, download on
iTunes,
wherever wherever you can find it. Haji Mike, this has been an absolute pleasure.
Do you have anything to plug besides the Chiofta?
Anything else you need to plug? You got radio shows, or like you said?
I do a radio show every Monday. It's on. I've got my own radio station called www.gubebi.com.
And beautiful.
Every podcast we're talking about Gubepia. I don't know.
And also, I'm on a really good station in the USA called Nice Up Radio, which I've collaborated with for about 8 years now, and that's based in Portland, Oregon, and also and it's a very big honor for me. It's also on a Jamaican station called Rhythm One Radio,
where it should be,
which is out of Kingston. And I started
make it there.
You make it everywhere. And one last question
started there in around about 3 years ago, and it gets syndicated in other places occasionally. And I also feature every 2 weeks on an Irish station called Flirt FM, which is in Galway University, That's an FM and internet-based station.
So I have one more question before we wrap it up.
Yeah.
Jerk, like Jamaican food or Greek or kibraga? Like, what's your favorite food? What's your go-to? Jerk chicken?
He's
Or
always
super.
thinking
I know.
he's
I'm always
always
thinking about
thinking
food.
about food.
You're
I miss the
punishing me,
food.
man.
Which
That's punishment. That's punishment. When in Jamaica,
I
it's
know.
jerk.
That's what
When
I'm
in
saying.
Cyprus,
In
when
Cyprus, they
in
don't have
Jamaica,
it.
it's jerk, right? When
Yeah.
in Cyprus, it's parado.
He took the
I can't-
politically correct route.
Yeah,
He's
I
not
did.
picking.
Yeah, yeah.
He's not picking.
No, I
Very
like
good.
anyway. No, I've got to be
No, I
honest
like it
with you,
all.
man.
Anyways.
No, when I was in Nigeria, I love the food. I like
Yeah.
food. And it's
So do
one of my problems because I always put on weight and I lose it and I put it on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
we
So
hear you.
We know.
We hear you.
I know we sympathize, we're in solidarity with each other. But, you know, I do like Jamaican food a lot, I like African food, Indian food.
Give me anything.
I'm any kind of food, really, except boring, you know, food
Hot dogs and
without
hamburgers.
taste.
Yeah.
But
All
I
right.
do, yeah. I have to say that the food in Nigeria was really, really amazing. It was fantastic.
So anyway, so Haji Mike, again,
you.
a pleasure,
very
an
much.
honor.
Yeah, man.
Big up.
Respect every time.
Respect.
And-
Best of luck with
And
everything.
it's great. It's fantastic. One day, I'd love to be there. You know,
I want to be there.
No, we'd rather be
you'd
there.
here.
We'll come there and we'll visit you.
Coming here, I'm going.
You don't want to come here.
No,
We'd
you don't want to
rather
come
be
here. We're coming there.
No, I've always wanted to come to Canada, man, because
Anytime.
I
Let us
know there
know.
was a lot. I know there was a lot of fans there back in the day, and we was selling like last amounts of the cassette
Yeah.
CDs at the time. But it would be amazing to link up with you wherever, even if it's
Okay,
in an
sure.
airport lounge.
Perfect.
All
Thank
right,
you
man.
very much.
All right,
Thanks a
take
lot.
care, huh?
Peace.
All the best.
Kalinikta.
Alinecta.
Fun, man.